On this episode of Elm Chemistry, we visited the Hopkinsville Water Environmental Authority. We spoke to Leslie Rogers, Charlie Lane, and Chandra Henderson. They allowed us to perform tests on water such as alkalinity, chlorine, hardness, and turbidity.
Well, we'll give you a little background of the process and where the water comes from and how it gets here. This is a picture on the screen of the Lake Barkley intake. So we run pipes all the way from Katie's, that Lake Barkley intake, to the South Quarry. We kind of use that as kind of a pre-settling basin, so that gives the water a little bit of an opportunity to have some of the organics kind of settle out before we pump it here. Once we pull it to the plant, it goes into the static mixer.
Static mixture is used to purify water. It is a precision-engineered device for the continuous mixing of fluid materials.
And then it goes into the clarifiers.
A clarifier is a machine that separates impurities.
And the clarifiers let the coagulant, it bonds to the organics, and then they settle out. And so the cleaner water is at the top, and those go through little weirs that come back into the plant and then end up in these filters. The filters, it's got 3 different types of media in it, and the water just kind of, through gravity, feeds through it. And at that point, goes out to the contact clear well, and out to the rest of the community from there. If you look over here, there's some inline instruments that we have that continuously, as the water comes through, monitor. That one has the pH, the temperature, the chlorine residual, and the turbidity on it. There's certain things we only check once a day, so we have to have fluoride in the water.
Many other tests are performed to test other characteristics of the water, like the concentration and solubility of minerals in the water. Alkalinity is the quantitative capacity of an aqueous solution to neutralize an acid. Alkalinity tests are performed by mixing sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid until the color of the water changes. Hardness is the mineral content of water. Hardness tests are performed by putting a powder in water and gently stirring. Turbidity is the clarity of water. Turbidity tests are performed by filling a tube of water placed in a turbidity machine.
Like the raw water right now that we have, the turbidity is around 2.5. The finished water, which is the water that you would get at your tap, is about 0.06. So that just lets us know how much organics we're actually removing from the water, how clear the water is.
Iron manganese occurs naturally in water. If you have an excess of iron manganese, the water will turn brown. Chlorine. It is a highly efficient disinfectant used to kill pathogens in water. Chlorine tests are performed by measuring the amount of free and total chlorine. Free chlorine is what's available in the water. Total chlorine is a chlorine that's already working.
Chlorine, as Charlie alluded to, is a disinfectant. Everybody, you guys here are aware of probably bacteria and E. coli that's been in the news. That is another thing that we use in order to disinfect. Can't kill viruses, we can only deactivate. Bacteria we can. Those other things is what we try to do.
How does chemistry apply to your everyday job?
Well, chemistry applies to us and everything that we do because everything we do is based on chemistry. Everything that we do is chemical here at the water treatment plant because, we add the chemicals to it, and it's not just because we add the chemicals just for the sake of adding the chemicals. They all have a purpose and a part.
Does order affect how you treat the water? If so, why?
It's methodic as to where we add each chemical because it's important as to which way it goes in order to, because again, like what we talked about earlier, to keep it from reacting with the other ones, and also to make it work as it needs to be its most effective. If you added chlorine, and a lot of times we do it at the front of the plant to kind of help get us started, but we also have to add it at the end. If we don't add it at the end, then there could be some adverse effects. We can't meet the regulations and whatnot. So yes, we do have to do certain things within a process.
How does concentration and solubility play into the treatment of water?
Okay, you guys remember back when we went upstairs and you were looking at hardness? You did your alkalinity testing, chlorine testing, all those deal in concentrations. So, and solubility. So what it is going back to what we talked about earlier with the alkalinity. We add certain chemicals, again, going back to coagulants, which is the main ingredient in water treatment process with the positive negative charges, and it helps settle out those solids, those things that are floating, the turbidities per se. And there are certain tests that we can do that we go in and that we can make sure that we're feeding at the right concentrations.